Hello, hello. This is G. You are watching Allastrology, and we are going to discuss Mars a little bit more. Yep, Mars is going to do a retrograde. If you know anything about Mars, it's a bit combative. It's a fighter. It likes to start stuff. It's like an instigator. And so if it goes into Gemini, Gemini's words. It's talking. It's communication. It's information, right? It's sharing information. Funny enough, Gemini, believe it or not, is also texting. It's like the thumbs. It's speaking with the hands. You know, back in the day, it was sign language. Gemini speaking with the hands. So what else do we do with our hands in terms of communications? Emails, right? Social media, right? Depending upon what your device is, you're on all sorts of platforms and you're doing all sorts of communicating and talking and whatever, spreading your version of the news, right? Your version of information. So Mars being born for war can be really combative. And so the whole idea around combative Mars in Gemini, maybe combative words, maybe combative communications, just remember that Mars tends to inflame things. All right. And Mars represents our physical bodies. Okay. So what I want to do is I already have a video out where there's 3 other videos. One talks about Mars itself, what it means, and then what it means when it's in Gemini. And then the other video is Mars being out of bounds, right? Because Mars is going to be going retrograde while it's out of bounds. So the out of bounds energy is an intensification. It's like over the top. It's erratic. It's spontaneous, but it's like Mars on like a case of Red Bull. Think about that, right? So when Mars begins a retrograde, we know that retrogrades also mean an intensification of energy, right? It's an extra dose of Mars. So it's like we're getting all these extra doses or all these extra BAMs, like if you're making a recipe of Mars energy, if it's an ingredient, right? And it's like, whoa, how much more of this can we take? If you know it's hot and it's super spicy, you don't partake. You pass on the dish. You say, no, thank you. So this might be some good advice for some folks during Mars's next 5 months of activity. What I do want to do is give you a visual, but I want to do it in a way where we're going to do it as an example of someone's life. So we're going to look at someone's chart in referencing the Mars retrograde. Okay, because I'm always saying if you don't know where it is in your life, comment below. And then if you do know where it is, you want to know what house number it's in by paying attention to the degrees. So the retrograde begins at 25 degrees of Gemini and goes back to 8 degrees. So that means we have the retrograde zone happening between 8 and 25 degrees of Gemini. So that's like the redo zone, we're going to call it. Okay. So yeah, I want you to pay attention. I'm going to put my cursor in the top right-hand corner. Okay. I'm making the figure 8. And I do this so that you can, my cursor is not real big, but I want you to follow the cursor because there's just so many other things to look at. I don't want you to feel overwhelmed. All right. So let's take a look. And if you haven't guessed by now, the person's chart we're going to look at, he who shall not be named, we'll leave it like that. And bam, there it is right on the screen. Here's his chart, right? He has Taurus at 24 degrees. Okay. So we know that right now Mars is like around 22 degrees. Okay. And this is why on Friday, this is when I'm recording this, like August 5th, we were hearing information about emails and text messages and oh my gosh, right? And that's because Mars is nearing this person's midheaven. And then Mars is going to go through here and look, his whole 10th house, his career, his ambitions, his goal. Remember, the 10th house is the world stage. It's what you will be known for. Don't forget that. That's what the 10th house is. It's what you will be known for. Mars begins retrograde at 25 degrees. And look, he has Vulcan at 25 degrees. And then it goes back to 8 degrees. And so that means while Mars is doing its retrograde, it will be entirely in this person's house. So during its retrograde, it'll touch on his Uranus, his North Node, his other Vulcan. There's multiple Vulcans, his Sun, and his other Vulcan. I want everyone to be aware that these Vulcan signs represent something that's material. It's like iron. It's something in the tangible world. So that's kind of fascinating. Mars will be touching upon that. The North Node is your future. Really fascinating. This is what you will be known for. Mars is going to be doing a retrograde going through there. And remember, this is going to be an out of bounds Mars and a retrograding Mars. Today's date, August 5th, August 6th. Okay. It flipped to August 6th. So you see Mars right there? Yeah. His chart is the inner ring, and the chart on the outside is the chart of the moment. The chart of the moment. Okay. So Mars is at his midheaven already. It's at 2156. So that's 22 degrees. And so when Mars was on Uranus, yeah, that's when it was like all these shocking things came out, all these connecting of the dots of attorneys sending text messages and emails to, anyway, like, yeah, I don't know how people follow along. There's a lot, but yeah, it does not look good. I can tell you that much. And seeing that it's Mars hitting this person's midheaven, unless this person did things by the book, yeah, it won't be so wonderful. And see, having Mars in Taurus, yeah, it angles in a very uncomfortable way all of this energy in this person's sixth house, which is their day-to-day routines. And it had to do with their friends, the friends that they had that surrounded them, because it's the sixth house of Virgo. So it was part of their daily routine. Lots of big groups, lots of people. This person liked people around them, people who thought differently, people whose ideas seemed just cutting edge, right? Had those sort of people around him. That is all squaring and angling up in a very difficult way for this person right now. It's just not looking good at all. Now, what happens when Mars goes into Gemini for this person? Gemini is air. So when Mars goes into Gemini, all of a sudden, this doesn't become a big deal anymore because Mars is then trining. Yeah, it sends trines to it. But Mars is also going to be in this air sign. So what will it start squaring? It will no longer be squaring this. It'll be squaring something else, right? Right. So when it goes into Gemini, it's a mutable sign. And so let me get Mars there so that we can see the visual. So you're paying attention to Mars. It won't light up for some reason. Let's see if I can get you to light up. There it is. Pay attention to Mars, right? It's right at this person's midheaven. So Monday's going to be an interesting day for this person. So here we have August 20th, Mars at 0 degrees in Gemini. Mutable sign. So it's going to square all the other mutable stuff. Well, look what that means. It means Mars starts squaring the significant one-on-one relationships of this person. And these are people who are overseas because it's Pisces. Actors, actresses, and maybe they aren't legitimate actors and actresses, but people who are kind of like, I keep hearing clowns. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to call names. I don't believe in calling names. I keep hearing clowns. That's what's coming through. Okay. So it's somebody who, maybe likes to be funny or entertaining, right? Because the clown card, the jester keeps coming into my head, but I keep hearing the word clowns. This person has that in the significant one-on-one relationships, but it's also folks who are overseas or people who are hidden, right? Because that's Pisces, it's hidden. Maybe some religious people or people who seem to be spiritual, because remember, Pisces can be actors. This is also that politician energy too. This is now squaring all of this energy big time. This is a big square, and this lasts for like 6 months for this person. So it squares this, and it squares this person's first house, which is their physical body and their health. Now, this person had COVID, right? And had it pretty seriously, even though I don't think it was big news at the time of how serious COVID was. And I think that's because COVID was trying to be hushed at that time. Maybe hushed is the wrong word. I don't know, but it wasn't talked about, right? A whole lot. It wasn't until this person was like leaving the military hospital, right, that we even heard about it. But they were airlifted to the hospital. And, maybe you're thinking, well, they were a president, right? Obviously, a president would be airlifted, right? I don't know. I've never been a president. I don't know. But apparently it was serious. And looking at their chart, I can understand why they're serious. Because this person's sun at 22 degrees, their node, first of all, at 20, 21. And then they have this Vulcan at 21. And then they have their sun at 22. All of that gets squared by Neptune at 22 degrees, right? The transiting Neptune up in the sky sits at 22 degrees and makes it really difficult for breathing. Okay. It's the pandemic energy. And this person, look at their second house cusp line is at 22 and their eighth house cusp line is at 22. Now, the United States chart has their natal Neptune at 22 degrees on his second house. So what that means is his health is always going to be hidden from you. There's never going to be talk about that. It's always going to be hushed up because it's Pisces. It's going to go into the hidden. Now, do you see where Mercury is at this time? Mercury just passed over this person's second house cusp line. Okay. Mars isn't really a factor yet for this person, but it's going to create difficulties for this person. What happens is as we get further, like this is August, but as we get further, when Mars starts to get to the 20-degree mark and this Neptune gets closer, because see how it's retrograding? Neptune is going to get to this mark. Okay. I'll just say it like this. I would be shocked and surprised if this person doesn't get COVID again and if this person doesn't have difficulties with it. Now, considering this person is a past president, I don't know a whole lot about the kind of care they get. I know they still have Secret Service once they're a president no longer. I know they still get the presidential perks. So I would think there's still going to be a decent amount of elite care that this person will have at their disposal. And this person would need it, actually, because, it'll be science, of course, and the hospital that will ultimately help this person pull out of it. But I got to be real, guys. This person's got their moon at 21 down here, which is opposing this, and their south node. This is really powerful energy. Really powerful energy. Now, this person is also going to have the sun. I mean, this person has a very super strong constitution in general in their chart, meaning in general, their health, it's like they can abuse themselves and get away with it a lot. So that's part of this too. So let's kind of zoom forward on this Mars. Okay. Right now, this is August 20th. Let's kind of zoom forward. I want you to pay attention to Mars, and if you can, to this Neptune. This Neptune's in red, which means it's going backwards. All right. And so we're looking for the time when it gets to near this 22-degree mark. Okay. That's key. And Mars, by the way. So we're zooming ahead, and now we're in September. And now we're halfway through September. Okay. This is, September 15th. All right. We're moving ahead a little bit more. And so what you realize is that Mars is getting higher in numbers and that Neptune is getting lower in numbers. And that means they're going to square up. Okay. So here's Mars. Let's go backwards. We want to go to 20 degrees actually, because at 20 degrees, it's already a factor for this person. It's already a factor for a lot of us actually, because at 19, 20 degrees, it's close enough where it's squaring. It's in a T-square with the United States' Neptune. United States' Neptune is at 22 over here. So just pretend it's here. I don't really want to put a third chart up here. It'll be so confusing. It's already confusing. So we got something here at 22, Neptune, which is pandemic. It's water, right? That's why it's water. And it's squaring Gemini. It's the lungs. And it's Mars in Gemini, which inflames the lungs. So we got Neptune here at 2341 going backwards. For this person, look, they've got this Mars conjunct all their stuff over here, which already always squares their health, their values, their bonded relationships, their deep emotions, which are really totally hidden from them because they've got Pisces there. And so Mars is angling it and creating difficulty. All right. What do you see? You see Mercury? Mercury's retrograding. So not only do we have Mars that's getting closer to the 22 mark and Neptune that's getting closer to the 22 mark, we have Mercury that's going backwards and it's now at 24 opposing this Neptune. This is a difficult time. This is September 5th. You got Mercury becoming a factor. Remember, Mercury is the lungs. Mercury rules Gemini energy. Mercury is here in Virgo health. So hospitals, hospital workers. Luckily, there are things that can be done. There are, things that can be taken at home, over the counter stuff now. So the good news is that Mercury stops. Look, Mercury's at 24 and it stopped. Yeah, she stops at 24 degrees and she doesn't get any closer to the 22. However, Mars is already a factor, right? Because it's squaring that Neptune at 22. And Mercury is 2 degrees away from this imaginary Neptune, even though it's not imaginary. I'm asking you to just pretend that it's there because it really is there. I'm just trying to make it simplified. So I'm going to go ahead, keep watching Mars and that Mercury and that Neptune. Those are the players that we're paying attention to. Mercury's pulling away and this is good. So this is good, 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 good. This is when October begins. Mercury is now left. Okay. So that should bring us a little bit of relief. However, this Mars is now at 22 and it's squaring exactly this at 22. And remember, Neptune is here. Okay. So we've got Mars, Neptune, and the other Neptune, right? The Neptune that's literally moving around is now at 23, 26. This whole time, this is all angling this person's chart even harder. Yeah. It's angling their chart even harder. So this can show up in a lot of ways, but I would expect that this person will be ill during this time. Now, Mars is going to 23 here. So it gets off of this person's node. It gets off of their sun. It starts to move beyond the 22 degree mark. So that means it'll be some relief. There will be a bout where it's like, okay, this person is okay. And for all of us, Mars getting away from 22 degrees is good. So we get a little bit of a breather, right? Which I'm loving for kids who are going to be wanting to go trick-or-treating, right? So we get to the end of October and look at Mars at 25. You see Mars there? Still at 25? That 25 degree mark should be ringing a bell in your head because we know, I'm moving slowly here. I'm moving 1 degree a day. We know that Mars begins its retrograde at that mark. And there it is, 25 degrees, October 30th, Mars retrograde. So Mars is in Gemini. It can make breathing difficult. It's, definitely could be some fighting words. It's in children, it's in school, it's in coworkers, it's in neighbors, it's in your neighborhood, in your community. We also have Black Moon Lilith in the sign of Cancer. The Cancer is the public. So for parents who have children who trick or treat, just keep in mind that we have Neptune at 22 up in the sky over here. We also have the transiting Neptune at 22 here, right? And we have this Mars who's retrograding and who's out of bounds. I would, as a parent myself, if I had youngsters, I would want to take this information and I would be proactive with it. I would be extra careful, a little overprotective, honestly. But whenever Mars is involved, I don't ever think there's such a thing as being too cautious when it comes to youngsters and weapons. I just don't think so. And to ignore this astrology, like if I had kids, I would feel I was being negligent by ignoring it. And I wouldn't want to ignore it. So this isn't to send an alarm to anybody, but it's just saying, hey, just take a look at this. And for those of you who have a chart at your, if you have your own chart, I can actually look at it deeper for you to see, is there something you have that may create an ease? It's possible. Okay. So the other thing about this Mars and this particular person's chart is this Mars is now going to begin going backwards. So let me speed that up a little bit and we can watch Mars go backwards. So what happens is Mars is going down in numbers, and you pay attention. Mars is going down in numbers, and look at this Neptune. You see this? This is November. This Mars is at 22 again. You see that? It's at 22. Right. So this is like the week before Thanksgiving, we have Mars squaring Neptune. And so for this person, this again is going to be difficult. We also have Sirius as part of this square. So this is difficult. The week before Thanksgiving, a shortage of food. So just, I wanted to put this video out so you guys can get a heads up on that. Also, if you're congregating with family members, right, to be super aware. This is November 20th. Because the pandemic and having breathing difficulties, especially for those who had pre-existing conditions, who have pneumonia in the past. Like I have one of my housemates, actually both of my housemates have pre-existing health conditions. And And so, yeah, she even has been prone to have pneumonia in the past, and she's got an inhaler. Anyway, we've just had to be really cautious with her. You know, if you're in a household and somebody gets COVID, yeah, it's a high likelihood that it could spread throughout the household very easily. So now we get to November 29th. Mars is still retrograding and it's getting away. It's like November 29th. Let me see when I would give. Yeah, November 28th. Mars is still part of the T square. It's still part of a strong T square with both the Neptunes. And for this person, this is all really rough stuff. So they had it before and they're having really rough stuff again. And so Mars gets to 17 degrees in the beginning of December. And so this is positive information. When December begins, Mars is still retrograding. It's still out of bounds, but it's not angling the Neptunes, which is key in terms of the pandemic. So let me go to the December further on, go to Christmas. And the good news is that we still have Neptune opposing Neptune, right? This is still at 22, okay? So it's still opposing this Neptune over here. And we even have the sun that's in Sagittarius at this time, which is also T squaring the energy. So it is some difficulties, especially for people who have some energy in Sag at these degrees, 20, 20, 21, 22, and he does. He has his moon there and his nodes. This is a rough time on this individual. And it could simply just be COVID stuff, but family members possibly, definitely family members. But for the rest of us in the states and in the world, Mars is still retrograding. It goes all the way back to 8 degrees. So here we are at Christmas time, December 24th. It's Christmas Eve. Mars is really slow. It's still retrograding. It doesn't stop until it gets to 8 degrees, but it's at 10 degrees. All right. So it's Christmas dinner, Christmas Day. Mars is at 10 degrees. See if 10 degrees in the mutable signs means anything in your chart. If you don't know when you want to know, comment below and I can help you find that out. But as far as the pandemic, it's prominent signs in Sagittarius at 19, 20, 21, 22 degrees. And in Pisces at the same thing, Pisces and Virgo, 19, 20, 21, 22 degrees. Okay. Don't worry about it. Comment below and I can check that out for you. Okay. Bye-bye. So below the video, I'll have all the degrees for those of you who like to pay attention to the degrees in your chart. Again, if you don't know and you want to know, just comment below.